Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends and fellows. How are you? I welcome you here on my training channel. My name is Abdul Khalik. Every time somebody who was close to us, either a close relative or a close friend, if at all they have developed, particularly in the difficult circumstances, we then look upon them like they are really so lucky. They have achieved so much despite the fact that the things were not so easy, the things were not so comfortable. Despite all that, they have succeeded in achieving so much, in becoming such a nice, good person. I think that if at all they have developed, it is not because of their luck. It is not because of the resources, because they don't have the resources much, but it's only their habits, it's only their attitude, it's only the way they think which have made them so much successful that today they have become a kind of example for the rest of the people. So I think if at all I or you, someone else, if at all they want to develop, they want to prosper, I think this thing is also quite doable. Quite doable, but how can we do that? We need to understand what was the way, or particularly what were their habits, what are their habits, what are their attitudes, which have made them so much and so much of a successful person. So, my dear friends and fellows, I think that if at all we try to understand, if at all we try to identify, and if at all we try to follow their habits, their attitudes, their thinking pattern, I think we too can become the people like that. As for the thinking patterns are concerned, these are complicated, but at least we can adopt the two things, their habits and their attitude. So we have chosen today such habits. These habits are 12 in number. So these habits are all the habits of high achievers, the people who have achieved so much, the people who have become so important. So I think and I believe that if at all anybody, I or you, anyone else who want to put themselves in the high achiever, they must be adopting, they must be practicing the 12 of these things. And these 12 things, if at all they are doing it with enough amount of focus and concentration, I believe that they too are going to become a great person. They too are going to become great achiever. So let's look upon what are those 12 habits. First of all, it is setting clear goals. Setting of clear goals. Clear goals are very, very important, because unless and until our goals are clear, I think we are not going to move forward, because the goals are setting direction in which direction to move. So I think that these goals are very important. We must be having the smart goal. The smart goals is having the five conditions. The first thing is that it must be clear, specific enough. The second thing is that it must be measurable. Like if at all I want to achieve 100,000, like I have achieved some 30,000, so that is measurable. Now the third condition is that they are attainable, they are realistic, they are not so big that it is very difficult or impossibly difficult to achieve. So it must be attainable, it must be realistic. Now the fourth is that it must be relevant. Relevancy means that if at all I succeed in achieving that, it must be improving my life. It must improve my life a lot. So that is how it becomes the relevant. And the fifth and the last condition is that it be time bound. Mean if at all I want to achieve something by the end of by the end of 2024. So that is the time bound. Although a bit of extra time might be consumed, and that extra time should also be added later on. So that is the first thing is that they set clear goals. Now the second is that they keeping positive. They don't swallow the negativity. They always stay the positive people, because the positivity mean hope. The positivity mean expecting good. So apart from all other things, I think we must keep accepting good. We must stay positive. That is so much important. And now the third habit of these people is they are learning continuously. They people are learning continuously, and it is the continuous learning which keep improving our capability, our competency. And once we become more and more capable, or once we become more and more skilled, it means that we are more effective as well. And once we are more effective, automatically we will be improving, we will be getting for better results as well. So they keep learning. Now the fourth condition is, the fourth habit is performing self-care. Yes, they take care of themselves. They don't leave this extremely important thing upon any other person. Rather, they perform the self-care, because self-care, they think that nobody else is going to do that. We ourselves have to do it. We cannot outsource it at all. That cannot be outsourced at all. So that is, that is performing self-care. Now the fifth condition, the fifth habit is taking risk. Taking risk is important, but it must be, we must be very very careful, because prior to taking any risk, we must calculate it very very well. We must prepare it very very well. And if at all, if it is not well prepared, if it is not well considered, if at all it is not well calculated, I think that we are going to lose, and we may lose big. So taking risk is good, but we must be very very careful and cautious about all that. And not every risk is worth taking. Not every risk is worth taking. There are certain risks which should be taken, and there are certain other risks which should not be taken at all. Now the next is, the next is, now the next is, the sixth is staying motivated. That we need to stay motivated. We need to develop the intrinsic motivation. External motivation is good. Listening the motivational podcast, reading the motivational stuff, listening directly and live to the people who have the ability to motivate us, that is all good, and that should be availed. But it is the intrinsic motivation which keeps us motivated for all the time, because it is the motivation which provides us with the energy, which provides us with the will, which provides us with the courage, with the grit, and which provides us with the enthusiasm. So staying positive, that is another very important thing. Now the eighth is, now the seventh is learning from mistakes. Yes, indeed, they learn from the mistake. Mistakes are made by everyone else. Maybe nobody on earth is without the mistake. Nobody else is a flawless person. Everybody has certain flaws. Everybody has certain certain shortcoming, certain lacking. But despite all that, I think that these people learn from their mistake. And if at all somebody who does not learn from their mistake, I think they people never improve, never get better at all. But those people who keep learning, they automatically keep improving as well. Learning and auto improving, that is something very much automatic. That is something very much good. So learning from the mistake, everybody make the mistake, but the loser, they never learn from their mistake. But the winner, they always learn from their mistake. Now the eighth habit is the keeping things organized. Yes, it is not the scattered, not the cluttered, but everything in the life is very organized one. Their space is organized, their time is organized. Whatever they are doing, whatever they want to do, they are seen organizing it. Being organized is very very important. Now the ninth is defending boundaries. Boundaries are very important. Boundaries are very important. Boundaries mean limits. Up to this limit, somebody can come, and not beyond that at all. Up to that point, I can go, and not beyond that at all. So the defining of boundaries is very very important. Defining boundaries is very important. Now the 10th is taking on criticism. If at all somebody is criticizing us, I think we don't need to become furious at all. We don't need to ignore it either. Rather, we need to think whether there is something where I need to improve. Maybe this criticism is a justified one, and I need to rectify my mistakes and my error. And if at all it is an unjustified one, then too I don't need to become furious at all. I don't need to take seek revenge at all. Rather, I need to ignore it. And that is, they take on the criticism. Now the 11th is rejecting procrastination. Yes, procrastination. We mean keep deferring, keep delaying the thing which must be done on time. So why we people delay and defer? Because the things are complicated, because the things are not, because the things are difficult. In a situation like this one, all what we can do is what must be done. We need to prepare it very, very well. We need to seek this the help of other people. At the same time, we need to break it into several parts, and if at all we have broken it into several parts, into several milestones, into the several stages, then one thing at a time should be taken as a whole task. Then focus and concentrate upon that one part of it. And if at all in this manner, I think that all the complicated, all the difficult things can be done. Now the last is that is leveraging others. How can we leverage others? Yes, it is possible. We need to understand their nature. We need to convince them. We need to persuade them. We need to induce them. And we can do it by give and take. If at all, why on the one hand, I need to prove the logic, the reasonability of my stance. On the other hand, I need to give something. I need to share the rewards. I need to reward them if at all they are going to cooperate me. So that is how we can use the leverage. So my dear friends and fellows, I think these are the 12 conditions, and out of these 12 conditions, if at all we are seen practicing it, I believe that we will become a good one. I believe that we will also become an achiever, and I believe that we too, inshallah, will be able to include ourselves into the list of those who are really genuinely successful. Thank you.